Okay, so good morning. What I want to demonstrate for you right now is paragraph style sheets. And I have, um, I have a sample I downloaded. I use Dropbox. You were just asking me about how to store up to Zythos. I use Dropbox. You can create a Dropbox account for free. And the advantage of Dropbox is anywhere I am, I can access my files and download them. I could also, if I wanted you to have access to my files, I could invite you through your email to share my Dropbox account. And that means that you would just load Dropbox, you pull down my files, and um, I'm dubious about all this stuff, to be honest with you. I'm very slow to join and give my email out, and I'm finding Dropbox to be kind of this fabulous thing. Before I leave my computer, if I'm worried that I haven't backed something up, I'll just slip it into a Dropbox folder, which will immediately upload it to, for lack of a better term, a cloud, and then I know it's backed up and I know I can access it. So you guys might want to consider that, and I'll show you how I used it. But for starters, let me just show you the concept of paragraph style sheets. So I'm just going to make a new page in InDesign. And on Monday, for those of you who weren't here, we went over master pages and bookleting again. Paragraph style sheets is very simply this. It deals with text. And if I fill this right now with placeholder text, essentially when I start to think through any of my projects, I think in terms of, let's say, a headline, then let's say I think in terms of a subhead, then I think in terms of body copy, and I might, for example, if I place a picture, think in terms of a caption. Oops, I don't want to, I'm running out of desk space here. I think in terms of a picture and a caption. So let me show you what I'm thinking. Let's pretend this first line here is my headline. And I start to look and say, well, what do I want my headline to be? I want it something big, loud, and bold. Let's look at Poplar. And a headline's generally large, so let's make it 48 points. And I want my headline to be red, so it's red. And that's my headline. And then I always want space after my headline. So I go to the paragraph panel. And I'm doing this fast because I think now you guys are all familiar with what I'm doing. So stop me or slow me down if you want to know how I got somewhere, no problem. So here's my space after. I'm going to add space after my headline. And then I'm going to pretend this is my subhead. And you know what? I don't want my subhead to look like my headline font. I want it to look like body copy. And I want to make it, let's say, bold, semi-bold italic, but I do want it to be red, like my headline, so it's red. And let's say it's going to be 14 points in size, and I want space after that one. So you see, I'm starting to build how I'm thinking through my document. And then all of this text down here, let's say, is my body copy, which means the text on your pages. That's called body copy. And common body copy size is like 10 or 11 point. And I'm big on a lot of leading, so I'm going to make it 16 point leading, which I have to type in because there's no default. And then after all of my paragraphs, I want a little bit of space in between my paragraphs. So I'll add space after again of just not 9 points, but 4.5 points, which is 0.0625, you see there. Okay, so I haven't done anything except set type the way you all are familiar with. Paragraph style sheets is this. It's different than paragraph. What it is you're creating a master keyboard shortcut to set your type. So if I click anywhere in the first paragraph where my headline is, and I go to paragraph styles, which is right here on the right, or I go to window, type, paragraph styles. Oh, it's not even here. Go to type here, and I could go to paragraph styles under type there. Notice there's a default that you've never noticed. It's called basic paragraph. That's the default that's built into your document. You override it every time you set type. Right now, because my cursor is blinking on the top paragraph, on the top headline, I can just go to this little pullout. I can make a new paragraph style. I can name it what I want, headline. I can give it a smart key, which is shortcut. And the shortcuts are the command button on your keyboard and anything on the right keypad, that number keypad. So I get into a rhythm of what my shortcuts are. All headlines are command 1. So I hit command 1, and that now has coded command 1 on the keypad, the right hand keypad like accountants use, not us graphic designers, to be my shortcut key. But because, oh, I didn't spell headline correctly. You guys got to tell me that. But if you look, my paragraph format right here already built in the type of font I specified, the size font. I'm going to build in my own leading to be accurate. I always use optical kerning unless I'm dealing with numbers and I want them all evenly spaced. And then notice it gave me already the default I set up for my space after. It's all built in there. It's all done. If we go to color, character color, there's my red. Okay? So all I have to do now is say, okay. Now I can just click right here on what I designated as my subhead. Go to new paragraph style. I'm going to call it subhead. And then my pattern is to name that command 2. And again, here it is, Minion Pro semi-bold, because I already set it up as my default, right? I didn't set up my leading, so I'm going to be sure to do that. Because if you have two lines of a subhead, you want to make sure you've specified your leading. And when you set up paragraph style sheets, you always want to control your leading, because you get these random, arbitrary things happening when you don't. So I'm going to set up my leading for this at 16. And again, I'm going to change it to optical kerning. And again, if we go to color, here's my red already set up. Then I say OK. And now if I click anywhere on my body copy, any paragraph I set up as body copy, I make a new paragraph style. I call it body copy. And again, my shortcut key, I now make 3. And you can make them anything you want. I'm going to change my kerning to optical because I forgot. But my spacing after is set up. See, everything is all set up for me, so I say OK. The only other thing I want to show you is right now, I haven't set this up yet, but you could watch me. I can make a new paragraph style sheet yet again. I'm going to base it on body copy, which is going to bring in all the specifications body copy told me, right? And I'm going to call this first paragraph because paragraph body. And what I want to do to this one, because it's the first paragraph of my chapter, let's say, I might go to drop caps, and I might want a drop cap in my first paragraph of 2 lines deep, and we'll just make it 1 character, okay? Or let's make it 3 so it's dramatic, and say okay. So now watch what happens. So now if I click here for my headline, I'm going to make my headline, notice how it kerned it when because I had created optical kerning, right? Thanks, Sunny. And now I click here, and it's a subhead. They don't look very different. I'm going to select all this text and make it body copy. But look what I do here to this first paragraph. I click on first paragraph body, and there's my default because I made that in my paragraph style sheet. Let me make this deeper so it looks better. That should be probably uppercase T. So what the advantage of this is I can, add as many pages as I want, and I'm deeper into my chapter, right? And I have my more of my content. Let me fill a placeholder. And again, I can do this. I can, I'm just breaking up my paragraphs here. 2-line subhead. Okay, so here I click anywhere in my first, can you see that? Let me zoom up a little bit. So here, my first line, I go to paragraph style sheet, I click on headline, it's my headline. I click on my second one, it's my subhead. I click on this paragraph here, it's my first body paragraph, and I click on everything else, and it's my body copy. And the advantage of that is I've made now a 500-page book and everything's a paragraph style sheet. And I take it to my client and they look at my beautiful 500-page book and they say, ew, I don't like that font at all. And so then I say, okay, what do you want? They say, oh, well, we want a sans serif body copy. So I say, no problem. So I go back to the book and I go to my character style sheet and I say, oh, I'm giving them sans serif. I'm going to give them Futura. There we go. And my whole book changed at that. Did you see me change to fit? All right, cool. And then they say, oh, well, we hate red. We want all of our headlines now to be blue. I say, no problem. So I go to headline and I say, oh, you want blue? No problem. Blue it is. Done. The whole book changed to blue. So paragraph style sheets save me a ton of time. So when I do product sheets for my clients, for example, I have a set of paragraph style sheets that I bring in to every document so I don't have to redo it for every document. I also have to, I also can make universal changes super easy.
How did you create a new paragraph style using the one that you had before and just altering it?
Oh, so let's say I decide that I want my caption to be based on my subhead.
Okay.
I want red italic. So I'm making right now an image. I'm filling it with my artwork. There's my artwork. I'm going to give it a text wrap. The command, what's the shortcut? Command Option W. I'm wrapping my text, right? I got a nice pretty page. And let's see what else. And now I'm going to make a caption to go beneath it. And remember with captions, here, let me make a text box. This is my caption. Remember why it's not showing up? Do you guys remember why it's not showing up? Because of the text wrap on the circle. So if I activate my caption box and I go to Object Text Frame Options, I can select Ignore my text wrap, and now my text will show up. It should anyway. But maybe my font's too big. So let me select all for this. Oh, it's a headline font. That's what was selected. So let me make a new paragraph style sheet. So let me go to New Paragraph Style. Let me base it on my subhead. And let me call this caption. And the only thing I want to be different about it is I want it to be 11 points instead of 14. And I want the alignment not left, but I want my alignment centered for it. Okay? And I say OK. And now I select all the text in the box you can't see down here, right? I'm going to select all, and I'm going to change it to caption. And there it is. It showed up centered in my little text box. And that's my caption text. So nifty, right? Okay, so I'll show you something kind of personal. So that's paragraph style sheets. Are there more questions about paragraph style sheets? No, okay. So what's kind of personal here that I'm going to show you is I went to Dropbox to grab this for you. So my daughter, who you guys get to hear about all the time, she's writing a blog. And so I'm taking her blog. Actually, I hope she never hears this video. I'm taking her blog and I'm turning it into a book. So I've created a InDesign document, and it's missing all the links because they're all linked to my computer back home. And it's missing all the fonts because I have selected all these fonts and I have to load them on this computer. So if I had it packaged, I could take the fonts from my package and load them onto this computer so it wouldn't be missing the fonts anymore. So what you're looking at for this blog here, you can see all the fonts are missing that I've selected, all right? But so I can't correct them because they're not loaded. But what I want to show you here is I have some master pages applied, so I thought this might be valuable for you. So for example, actually this font is super cute. It's this little French scripty font that she had actually picked in her blog, and I think the body copy is a serif font actually. So you're looking at default fonts. But here's my master page, which is a spread, and on one side of my master page here, let me try and show you this so you can see it all. Let me reset advance so there's more screen showing. So here's my master page, and let me show it to you so you can see it. It's pink because it says that's not a good font. I think you guys remember that. But on this right-hand page, I've got room for the date that she blogs, and this is her chapter header. It's set up as a 2-column text box, right? And then on the left-hand page, I usually put a large photograph, and so that's a facing page. Then I have additional master pages here, like this, where these are just text box. There's a single text box, there are 2 columns, and they'll take the text flow from one text box to another. Do you all know how to do that, a text flow? I don't think we talked about that. So what happens is, if I fill, so this is a master page. I'll show it to you. I'll end up screwing stuff up, but all right, let me show you flow. So here, if I fill this with placeholder text, it flowed to 2 different pages. And the reason you got the symbols is whatever I had in there was a ZAF dingbat. So that's the font that showed up. But flow is like this. Let me hit undo. Flow is, let me come over here. So if I have a text box and I fill it with placeholder text, and then it's overflowing right now, I can just take my arrow, click on this red symbol, which means it's overflowing, and notice it loads with the extra text. You can see that little symbol link, and I can draw another text box here, and the text flows right into it. All right? If I build my text boxes and I want them connected like this, if I build a text box here and I build a text box here, let's say I want them staggered on my page. Let me just do it so you can see better. Because let's say there's something sitting in here like an image, and I don't want to do a text wrap for it. Let me just fill that with a color. What I can do here with my type tool is, this is a text box. I can click on this overflow. This is your little overflow locator. Right there, I click on it right there, and you see I have pretend text that loads in my cursor, which says you're going to link this to something. And I go to the upper left corner of this text box, and now I've told it it's going to flow into there. So with my text tool, if I put in placeholder text right now, because I've linked those 2 boxes, I can link them on different pages also. I can jump down to any page and link these text boxes. It flows right into it automatically. So let me undo that, and I'll show you some of the paragraph style sheets, how they're applied in this little document. Is this useful or interesting?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay. So here's page 1 of her blog. So you can see what I did is, so this is the chapter intro right here. This was her first blog post. That's actually Ventura. And there's my daughter at the airport. And so here's her chapter 1. Her blog ended right here. Here's her chapter 2 to her blog. And this intro, bless you, this intro then flowed into these pages. And although the fonts are all wrong, because everything is pink, let's look at it in a preview so you can see what else I did. And it might give you ideas for your process books. So every page number to mimic the date, every page number is a circle. It's also a format of the blog that she had. I take out quotes that she says, and I have pull quotes, and I've designated a rule above them. You know how to do that? Remember the rule above and the rule below on paragraph rules? You guys want me to remind you?
Yeah, because I keep drawing.
You keep drawing yours, yeah. And what happens is, the reason you don't want to draw it is if I change my fonts, this is part of my body copy. If I've got a little box there, right, if things change, it changes with it. So how you create, I'll show you my paragraph style sheet for it. So here's the names of my paragraph style sheets. And I have pull quote rules. That's what this is. So if I took this this line right here, pull quote rules, I just clicked on it and it just designated it. How you do that is you go to paragraph rules and you do rule above and rule below. Does that look familiar now? Remember that? And then I said I want it to offset from the top of the text so it doesn't touch the top. And I just look at it. I mean, if I click preview, watch, you'll see it change right over here on the left. So if I click preview, see how it's changing my offset? If I change the color of my rule, but it's taking so long because it's doing it throughout the entire, it's now at 200 pages, this book, and it just changed it 200 pages worth. But if I make it red, now it's a red rule. See? Do you see a change? And if I make it 20 points, this is what the advantage of a paragraph style sheet is. It's now universally changed everything. So paragraph rules can be found right here under type. You want the paragraph panel, unless you're doing it for a style sheet, and it's a little pull-out, paragraph rules. So I've set up rule above and rule below. And then, so through some of her pages, let's kind of scroll down kind of quickly. So I set up a grid. Remember designing with grids? I set up a grid in one of my pages here. Let's see, take a look at that page. Because I knew she's going to have lots of little photos. So I just set up a ton of photo boxes. So this way, let me see if I can find a page that applies these photo boxes in a different way. Although you got to look at that photo, it's super cool. How cool is that, right? She's also keeping a recipe book, so there's lots of food photos. But I want to show you here. There you go. So what I did here was I downloaded a ton of her photos. I placed them in a folder, and then I placed them into each of these boxes. But what I thought I could do with this, for example, is like I could delete this one, make this 2 columns wide, use my object fitting, and I can fill frame proportionally and make that a 2-page spread. I can take, let's say, this one, which is really kind of a fun thing to do if you have a lot of photos or graphics, and I can do the same shortcut, fill frame. And the advantage of this, I think, is you set up a grid, right? But you have different ways to fill up your grid here. Or I can leave it blank because maybe it's just too much to look at. You know, maybe it's just, oh, kind of now I've got a little rest for the eye by deleting some images, but I've still got my grid set up. So that was a master page that I just dragged down and used there. So maybe that helps you a little bit, yeah? Any questions about paragraph style sheets or, again, master pages? No? Was useful? Yeah? Okay. That's it. So